Hey guys, let's talk some cool music, shall we? I'd like to share with you some information about Charlie Patton. Charlie Patton is, in a lot of people's opinions, arguably the father of the Delta blues. Charlie was influenced by a cat named Henry Sloan, and Henry Sloan was an interesting character in the fact that he had mentored Charlie. Charlie played with him. They lived on the same plantation, the Dockery Plantation in Mississippi, and they played together for multiple years. Henry Sloan there's not a lot to know about this guy. Pretty mysterious character. Not any recordings of him, so sadly his music doesn't live on except through the influence of Charlie Patton, which of course I'm going to share with you leads on to everybody that we know today. But Henry Sloan might just be the guy, recent research shows he may just be the guy that W.C. Handy saw playing a blues at the Tutwiler gas station, at the Tutwiler train station back in 1903, as a matter of fact. And W.C. Handy then took the influence of what he heard from that guy. And what he heard from that guy that day at the train station was supposedly playing an eerie sound. So something in reference to a slide from the story. He said with a knife or something, he was making a noise on the guitar. And it was a one-chord progression typically. From the way that he tells the story. You can learn more about that on my Walk in Memphis blog. But W.C. Handy then took that and made blues, or a style of blues, from that influence. That style actually turned into almost a more jazzy feel in my opinion, but you could go check that out on another blog. But anyway, Henry Sloan influenced Charlie Patton. Well, Charlie Patton is an amazing character of that Delta influence and the early blues icons. Charlie Patton played with my hero of the blues, Son House, and those guys played together a lot. They did a lot of shows together, and when I say shows, that would be like fish fries or juke joints or some of the get-togethers. They'd have cookouts, things like that. Charlie Patton was a man of small stature physically, about 5'5". He was a mixed ancestry. He had Indian in his blood. He had African American in his blood, and he had white in his blood. And so not a very popular blend at that time in that era, and we're talking early 1900s. Charlie Patton, even in his small stature, had a huge voice. Some people say that this guy could be heard 500 acres away, or 500 yards away, without amplification. Played guitars similar to these that had resonating influences. And Charlie Patton's music can be heard in guys like Howlin' Wolf because of his growling, strong voice and musical styles and influences, even in modern day musicians. Bob Dylan, for example, covered one of Charlie's tunes. Recently, the great Joe Bonamassa, High Water Everywhere. Matter of fact, check the link on this and you can check out Charlie Patton's tune, High Water Everywhere. Pretty cool. Charlie Patton's voice supposedly came from the fact that he had had his throat slit by a young lady and it didn't heal right, and thus maybe the growling of the voice. But those influences, his musical style, his guitar playing, and his voice carry forward in today's music in an incredible fashion. His style of play was very interesting. He was a stylish dude. He was an entertainer at every sense of the word. He liked to dress it up. You see the pictures, there's not many of them, but he's in full suit and regalia at his shows. And story has it that him and Son House would clown. They would be clowning. And what that means is he'd take his guitar and play it behind his back, or he'd play it behind his head and between his legs, and he'd try to entertain the women in the crowd that way. Charlie Patton, an incredible icon and a heavy influence of blues music at the Delta stages, but ultimately of music as we know it today, even up into rock and roll. This song is indicative of some of Charlie's style. I wrote this song, Depot Man, and it's a 2009. I put this song out, but this song is influenced by something that Charlie Patton did and Son House employed greatly in his style, and I call that the Delta Thump, and that's just that lick right there. Very powerful. Matter of fact, Pony Blues. Woke up this morning, feel like all my shoes. That right there is pony blues. And some people, well, it ultimately became walking blues, but that's pony blues if you listen to Charlie's work. And ultimately, that was supposedly a song that came from Henry Sloan. So all these guys starting right there, just moving the music forward, evolving it forward. This is a song that I wrote, and it's kind of in the styling of Charlie's work, and a nice tribute to him. And also Son House, you'll hear some of that influence in this song. It's called Depot Man. Trying to make the feeling of a train with this song. Well, I went down to the station, leaned up against the wall. Leaned right up against, I said, lean against the wall. I went down to the station, child. Leaned up against the wall, yeah. I asked that depot man, I said, when that train whistle gonna call, yeah. I asked the depot man, I said, where my baby go? I wanna hear that whistle, bring her right back home. I asked the depot man, I said, where my baby go? Yeah. He said, Leon, you ain't never gonna know, and you sure ain't going no places. You lay down all you know. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I said, hush now. Train going leave. You know it blew that black smoke right all on me. I asked that depot man, why my baby get on that train and leave? Yeah. He said, boy, she ain't never coming back. Yeah, that you're gonna see. Ooh, yeah. Well, I went down the station, leaned up against the wall, leaned right up against. I said, lean against the wall. I went down to the station, child. I leaned right up against that wall. I just wanna hear that whistle cry, baby, so I can bring my woman right back home. There's a little info for you on Charlie Patton and Henry Sloan's influence on him. And now as we go forward, you're going to hear some influences from that style to the great Son House and Robert Johnson and Muddy Waters. Thank you for tuning in. Very happy to do this series, the American Crossroads Music Tribute. And we'll see you next time. I'm Leon J. Thanks.